So welcome everybody. As I mentioned a moment ago, if you are looking for how we built a digital lending platform for community banks, you are in the right place. As I see more folks joining us here, that's lovely. My name is Jacob Smith. I represent an awesome project called the Collider under the Altimetrik umbrella. I'm joined by my colleagues, Ryan Robinson and Abhi Vadakuti, who are also on the call. Wave to the people, Ryan.
Hello.
And so, yeah, Collider is a community of tech innovators and problem solvers looking to level up and solve meaningful challenges collaboratively. We're looking for folks to get on board with that. So if that sounds like it's of interest, we'll be dropping some links. We definitely encourage you to plug in and get involved with our network. Again, we're representing an amazing company called Altimetrik, focused on digital transformation. So effectively helping mostly large enterprise stay ahead of the curve with the ever-changing technology landscape. So again, today we're talking specifically about what it takes to scale an enterprise level solution effectively from scratch using a variety of frameworks and techniques and pre-built solutions and different things. That's what we're going to be chatting about today, specifically as it relates to this digital lending platform that our team put together. So just for some quick context, over COVID, our team was made aware that small to medium-sized banks were struggling to keep up with processing PPP loans. And so our team stepped in, sorry for my alarm there, our team stepped in and put on our design hats and tried to figure out, okay, well, what would it look like to offer a solution that could enable banks to deliver loans at scale. So that is specifically, since then it has emerged into a project that has kind of a wider potential in terms of what it's going to be used for and such. We're joined today by Altimetrik team member Mauricio Pacheco, who is the lead front-end developer for this digital lending platform. He has seen the product go from idea all the way through to enterprise level application that we see it at today, has lots of different insight and information into what that process looked like. So I'm going to be chatting with him and working through some questions, exploring what that process looks like, how he made the decision, how the team made the decisions they did, etc. This is definitely meant to be an interactive conversation. So please, please, please feel free to drop your questions. Probably easiest to just drop the questions in the chat in the Zoom here. And I'll be sure to work those in as efficiently as possible as we go through the conversation. So before we dive into the conversation, I would love, Mauricio, if you could just tell everybody in your own words, kind of what is your role with Altimetrik and how did you get, what's your connection to this particular project?
Yeah, no problem. So hello everyone, I'm Mauricio, I'm a front-end developer. I was somewhat of the lead developer and of the front-end for this project. I have been working with Altimetrik for 3.5 years, more or less. I started as a QA for 1 year and then moved into developer. And I was involved in this project more or less since the beginning. It was almost a year of work. And yeah, that's my involvement.
Great. And then I just described the digital lending platform a little bit at a high level. Could you explain in your own words from an engineer's perspective, what is the digital lending platform?
Yeah, of course. So the digital lending platform was born as part of trying to modernize in some way the process that our associate bank was doing. We found out a bank in Michigan. They are a small bank, small to medium bank, and the problem they were facing is that for each loan that they wanted to do, they needed to send a lot of PDFs and forms and Excel files to a third-party company, and they were charging thousands of dollars and spending like a week to process each application. And we wanted to reduce that time as well as the cost of doing that.
Got it. So your team identified, it sounds like you started with identifying what the challenge was, if I'm understanding correctly. Could you speak to just in more detail, what did the challenge identification piece of that look like, as well as like how did you distill down what the specific nature of that challenge was, and then how did you approach kind of that initial solution design?
Yeah, it all started with having multiple meetings with the CEO of the bank and some of the bank office, loan officers, who are the ones that approve or reject each loans. And they went through how they made the process and what information they feel like they should have readily available or could be made easier. So they pretty much had an idea of the problem they were facing, and we just helped guide them to what the solution could look like.
That's really cool. So some kind of like user-centric almost design elements there, where it's not as if our team just developed this out of nowhere and then tried to find somebody who wanted it. It was very much we were solving a real problem that we knew real potential clients were looking to solve. Am I understanding that correct?
Yeah, of course. And also we had to learn about a lot of banking, a lot of loans and how banks work and what information they would actually need. It was really a back and forth between us and the customer.
Very, very cool. And then in terms of the actual, so the design from the technical standpoint, just kind of pushing into that a little bit. So you and I chatted about this a little bit. It sounds like there's a lot of different moving parts to the tech stack. Before we get into the specifics, I'm curious kind of what did the initial decision-making look like as you were getting started with how to approach the tech stack and the actual technical product design side of the equation?
Yeah, we needed the latest technologies as well as the more readily available technologies. We wanted to develop a solution that was customizable, but as well fast in some way to implement. So we decided going with React for the front-end framework, and for the backend we used AWS from Amazon. And around those two tech stacks, we developed the whole application.
That's fantastic. And you actually, what was the second one you just mentioned? I missed that. Sorry.
AWS from Amazon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And you talked about flexibility being an important piece of that equation.
Yeah, sure.
Notably, everything being cloud enabled as well, right? Everything's like designed cloud native, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Were those specs from the client, or is that just speak to like Altimetrik's process? Out of curiosity.
No, that was all Altimetrik initiative. The client is not so much well versed in technology. They are a small bank, pretty traditional bank, doing all in paper and the traditional way. So we had to step up there and guide the client.
And so AWS is just Amazon Web Services. So that's the cloud hosting. So for React, for those that might not be familiar with React, it's a platform that's getting a lot of attention right now. Could you speak in a bit more detail about what is React and why the team chose that particular platform?
Yeah, sure. At first, I called it a framework. More correctly, it's a library. It enables you to more easily build components and build applications based on JavaScript. It's used for building single-page applications. It's part of a modern way of building web pages. Its competitors are Vue and Angular. We decided to go with React as it's more customizable. At least that's what I think. It's all a matter of personal choice, but I'm more comfortable as well with React, and it seems to be more customizable.
That's great. And you mentioned that you're more familiar on the front end side. But I guess at the highest level, like what does the back end of the equation look like? What were you plugging into with the React front end?
Yeah. Okay. Well, we are using AWS Amazon for pretty much everything from authentication to some text parsing solutions, as well as getting the actual application to the web. So hosting the application and deploying. And we're using Cognito. It's also an AWS product it lets us do the authentication. We are using OAuth. So we have just a login screen for Cognito. We get a token and we store the token, and that's how we do the authorization for the platform. And yeah, I mentioned as well TextRact. That's what we're using for extracting the actual information from PDFs. For example, let's say you have some table and you want to have that as an actual table, not just text in a PDF. We can scan that and transform that into a table.
That's great. And I think what we'll need to do is we'll need to like type up a little summary of the different tools you're mentioning, so that folks, that if there's anything specific that folks are interested in learning more about. If there's any particular tool or something, if we're moving too fast, everybody, please feel free to just drop that in the chat as well. And as Ryan mentioned, don't hesitate to add questions. Definitely looking to have this be interactive with everybody getting involved. So Gautam has a great question here, which is, could you describe just in a bit more detail? You mentioned from the onset, working with the customer, understanding their challenges, et cetera. How was the client that you mentioned involved throughout the design process?
Yeah, of course. So we had the weekly meetings with the client, and we, as well as we guide them through the technology aspect of the solution, they guide us through the banking aspect and what the actual needs for the product were. So in each meeting we had weekly with the CEO, we will show him what changes we made, and he will say, okay, I need this change, or I would like the bank, the loan officer to be able to see this information, or we can change this or make a comment here. And that way we were continuously taking in whatever the CEO wanted to change, and we implemented that in a weekly basis.
That's fantastic. And so I have a question in terms of like how you chose the different out of the box tools here, but I want to work in a new angle to that as well before I kind of bring it back general. So you mentioned that there's a number of different aspects of machine learning that were worked into the equation. So if I'm not mistaken, there was some natural language processing, some visual recognition, something along those lines. Yeah. Could you speak to like why did you choose to use those particular tools? What that what value that brings to the product, and what those out of the box tools look like, as opposed to like trying to develop that from scratch or something like that. Yeah,
that's not my area of expertise, but I can go a little bit in depth on that. So first I mentioned the TextRact tool. That is just text recognition from the PDFs to drop that into an actual table. That's what we're doing with that. And for machine learning, what we're doing is using a set of rules, which we pass different scores, like credit score or credit score and other that I don't remember right now. But the idea is that we take all of those scores with different weights and ratios, and we can process that and spit out like a recommended rate to which we can actually give the loan, as well as a score for the customer, the potential customer, for the bank, and that helps the loan officer decide whether to reject or approve the loan. As well, a loan officer can go in and change if he seems like we made some mistake, or he thinks that it's not quite right. He can change the weights, he can change the ratios, he can change the scores, and we can recalculate all of that, all of the rates and rate components that we are suggesting. We can recalculate based on the loan officer input. So that's how we're using the machine learning aspect to see whether we can approve or reject a loan and recommend that to the loan officer.
Got it. And then I think you had also mentioned something with facial recognition, like the Blink ID or something along those lines. Yeah. So for the part that the customer is actually going to see, the one asking for the loan, he will go to some kind of wizard, let's call it, to fill out some information, and at one point we will ask him to scan like maybe an ID or a driver's license, and we can pick information from there, like birthday, name,
and some other information, and using the picture that we get from the ID of driver's license, we can pass it on to Azure, to Microsoft Azure, where we can pass it as well. We will ask him to take a selfie. We pass the selfie and the photo from the ID, and we can match those two to see if they are the same person using the capabilities from Azure Microsoft. So yeah, face recognition.
Wow, that's really clever. So that's fantastic. Thank you for kind of diving into those different bits. So now taking it back a little bit higher level, how did you choose which tools? So I mean, there's like infinite different tools and frameworks out there. You know, what does the decision-making process look like for kind of developing the suite of tools that were used? And quite frankly, like, how do you keep track of all these different moving pieces?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's pretty hard to keep track. But yeah, we decided based on capabilities. I mean, we went with AWS Amazon because it pretty much had almost everything we needed, from authentication to text extract for the PDFs, and also we can deploy from there, have the pipeline set up and all of that. But for example, for the face recognition, we ended up using Azure because it was a pretty straightforward implementation, and also the way we were built, it was based on how much we use the service, so how many actual face recognitions we did, so it fit our budget, and yeah, it was not too expensive. It was the right technology, and it just worked and was pretty easy to implement. So
that's great. And I know that the like how to keep track of everything is a pretty common challenge with teams working with these types of solutions. And I know that that's something that Altimetrik is very actively looking to help our clients solve with some new tools coming soon. So that's something that's interesting to think about, and something I'm excited to kind of dive into more detail. But yeah, I suppose, so for clarity, when you say the team, how many people were involved in building the product?
Yeah, the team fluctuated a bit. So sometimes it was more people, sometimes it was less people, but let's say that there were 6 or 7 people. Yeah, on average.
Got it. Oops, sorry, got it. And so great question from Noel. So the question is, did you also use some CI/CD techniques, which is continuous integration, continuous delivery, or deployment, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm getting that correct. So for the plebeians like me, if you could define that better, and also, yeah, please, Noel, what was that?
Continuous integration and continuous delivery, yeah.
Great, yeah.
AWS provides a way to make pipelines. So each time we wanted to, something I forgot to mention was that all the code, we were storing it as well on a service that called code commit that Amazon provides, and from there we can pick up the code, deploy it to whatever URL we want, and we can make pipelines. The pipelines can contain testing, manual approval, or anything that we want. So yeah, we're using pipelines to do some kind of continuous development and continuous integration. Yeah.
Very, very cool. How about in terms of like mobile versus web app? Is that still a consideration, or does React make that all really simple?
Yeah, with React it's a lot more easier, but in any case, you have to keep in mind when designing the application, if you want it to work with mobile, the best thing will be to do like a mobile first approach and design for it to work on mobile first for desktop. But since the client decided that mobile was not so important, we didn't consider that aspect. So he was more interested in desktop usage than mobile usage, since it was more focused on loan officers and bank officers than actual customers. This part at least.
That makes sense. Thank you for clarifying. So I'm curious if anybody else has specific questions about the technology. So please do drop that in the chat. In the meantime, I want to ask Mauricio a little bit more about the team that worked on this. So you mentioned that it's a relatively small team of folks, and my understanding is that Altimetrik's apprenticeship program was involved in the mix. So for some folks tuning in, I know Sabrina has dealt with this in her trajectory as a developer. It can sometimes be challenging to break in to an ecosystem as a junior developer. And I know that for folks that might be hiring talent in the room, that sometimes it can be challenging to know how to leverage junior talent to help them both learn while not being requiring too much, hand-holding, so to speak, how to provide the correct balance of mentorship and hand-holding. So I was hoping, Mauricio, that you could speak to that. How did you incorporate apprentices into the program, and what did that path look like?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we had 3 or 4 people from the apprenticeship program, which worked with us. And we had the backend team. We were like 3 people that was from our team. And in there was 1 person, I believe, from the apprenticeship program. I will focus more on the front end part of the team. So in the front end, we had 3 people from the apprenticeship program. And the way we introduced them to the project was, first they had a meeting with me. I told them a little bit about the overall project, just like I did with you. Told them the technologies, more or less what we wanted to do, how the platform worked, and what was the goal, as well as show them around the code, help them with getting their development environment set up, downloading the code, running the program. And from there, they started doing some bug fixes. If they had any question, they would always come to me and I could answer anything. And from there, let's say 1 or 2 weeks of work with a little bit of hand-holding, let's say. And then they were pretty much on their own. They started developing solutions. And yeah, we had a lot of great ideas from them. They helped us do some e-signing for when you ask for a loan. The last step of the wizard that I mentioned, it's like e-signing. We capture your signature and you get like a PDF with your signature, and it's all done. So yeah, the apprenticeship program is great, and it helps us a great deal, and it helped the senior developers as well. They started here working. They spent like a month or something like that, and then they got to move on to more to other projects. They moved on to PayPal, for example. I remember one of the guys moved to that project. So yeah,
that's fantastic. Cool. So I have one more question, and then just, I forgot to mention this at the beginning, everybody, but we're going to be transitioning into a demo of the actual platform in just a few minutes here. So what I wanted to ask is kind of shifting the focus back to the business side of the equation, or I guess this is a little bit general too. Like, what's next for the platform? So you described the process of what it took to build it. I guess so. Like, where did it end up? So what does it look like today? And then what's next for the platform? Like, how is this actually going to be used in the real world?
Yeah, sure. The platform at this point in time is nowhere near complete. We want to continue implementing more stuff. So today, what it looks like, it can handle a couple of types of loans. For example, commercial real estate loans. It can handle that. And the way we want to go forward is continue working with my bank, the bank that I've mentioned first. We want to continue taking in ideas from them, from the CEO, from the loan officers, and improving with different types of loans and improving the loans that we already have, as well as the rule set and how we calculate the scores and all of that, as well as looking for new partner banks that can help us test drive this platform. We want to collect more data, see real world usage. We want to actually have loan officers use this, process loan through their application, see if they face any issues, taking anything that they need help with, support them, and continue building this forward.
That's fantastic. Thank you for explaining that. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's transition into the demo.
Yep.
So I think folks are excited to see what this is all about and make it a little less vague. We can show you exactly what we're talking about. Same story goes. So as we're going through this, Mauricio, please, everybody, feel free to drop any questions that come up about anything that we've discussed. So the design process, the tech stack, the business side, whatever the case may be, please feel free to continue adding questions as we go through. And Mauricio, I think you should have permission to share your screen. Is that correct?
Yeah, I do.
All right, so take it away whenever you're ready.
Okay, then I go ahead and share my screen. So as I was mentioning, I don't know if you guys can see yet, but I think you should be able. So as you can see, this is the login screen. This is all hooked with Cognito. So this is coming from Cognito from Amazon AWS. So I will just log in. Just go to what the loan officer will see and how he can actually make the decisions on which loan to approve. So in this case, we'll go to the open applications. So let me move the Zoom widget. Okay. And let's go to one loan that I know it has pretty much everything. Let's go to this loan. Okay, so this is the main dashboard where the loan officer can make his decision. We can see that we spew out a lot of prediction rate components here. For example, loan to value, credit score, liabilities, debt to income. And using all of this information, the loan officer can reach his final decision whether to reject or approve. All of these ratios and scores and prediction rate components, as well as the recommended score and risk and recommended rate, are coming from our model or rule set that I talked before. We are taking in all of the PDFs, forms, and all that they have, and processing that, taking the components from there, and giving this information to the loan officer. So the way this works is if the loan officer comes here and says, okay, yeah, this credit score is not right, or I need to change it for any reason, we can go here and do, no, yeah, 500, let's say. And maybe we can go here and change the overall weight of the loan to value. We can actually modify this component, and let's say, okay, the loan to value is more important for this loan and the credit score is not so important. And maybe we can change the risk here. And let's hit save. And what we will do is recalculate this, and you will see that the credit score will change as well as the rate components once this finished processing. It'll take a little while because we are running the model all again to recalculate this. So let's give it a second.
And Mauricio, while it's loading, is the data visualization aspect of this, is that just coded out, or how did you approach the visualization side of it? Yeah,
the visualization is all done with a library called plotly.js. It helps you build out pretty much any graphic component that you need, from bar charts to line charts to pie charts to anything that you want. And yeah, after much consideration with the CEO of the bank and the loan officers, we decided going with this approach. It pretty much shows every information that they needed in a somewhat readable way. And let's see if this works.
And you said plugly?
Plotly.js.
Oh, like Plotly.
Yeah, Plotly.js.
I'll tell you what. So everybody tuning in here, let's we'll compile a list of all of the awesome tools that Mauricio mentioned, and we'll include that in both the follow-up as well as we'll tag it in the description of the YouTube video. So we'll have that information if you are recapping later and wondering what some of the tools are called.
So after loading, we changed the credit score, if you remember, as well as we modified this chart here. So you see the credit score got recalculated again. As I lower it, it's less here, and it's higher. The loan to value is higher, has a higher weight overall. So, and we can, for example, leave a comment here. I said true, change credit score 500. Leave this comment here, and if any other loan officer comes here, he can see this comment and see what I did. Also, we can go to this audit log and see that all of the things that I just changed are logged here. And we have also processed the credit report summary of the applicant for this loan. We can see all of the information that we need pretty much here. And this all corresponds to what the loan officer and the bank was getting from this third-party company that they were sending the data to. So this analysis, they cannot, we are doing this analysis for them instead of they having to send that to the third-party company and paying a lot of money and waiting a lot of time. We have it available in just 5 minutes.
Could you put some numbers to that? How much time are you saving per run there?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how much time, but if you take into consideration that sending all of the documents to this company, paying and waiting almost, I would say a week for it to get processed, it's pretty much instant with our solution. So we're saving days and days of time. We have all of the debt here. If the applicant has any, as well, we can make any adjustments that we want. Let's say, okay, I want to. You see this number changes, and we have a revised total now, and it's already got saved. Say just for something, and all of this gets saved and can be checked by another loan officer. As well, we have the debt service coverage here as well. Another thing that the bank needed to take into consideration to approve or reject the loan. We have all of this data displayed here, readily available for any loan officer that wants to check this out. And they don't have to go through Excel files. They don't have to go through a lot of PDF files. What they were doing before is going to many Excel files, filling those out manually, sending those to the third-party company, waiting for them to do an analysis. So using the machine learning and the rule set that we have, we can process this automatically. We can make mistakes, but at least it's automatically, and we are pretty close to having a great analysis, just like they will get from the third-party company. So we can check the collaterals associated with this loan. There is a property here, for example, the value, so the debt and all of that. Yeah, and this pretty much is just all of the information that we are collecting from the forms that the loan officer inputs. It's not, as well as the PFS here. Yeah, all of the information that they will get from the Excel file, we're getting here. And if we go to the document tab, we can see actually from where we got all of this information. So you see, we have a loan spread here, and there is something I want to show you. That is, if you remember, I talked about text extracting functionality. If you see this here, we have a PDF. We are rendering a PDF on this page, and you see we have a table here. If we want to have this table as a file and as an actual table, we want to process this and examine this text and get it on a table. So if we click the button, we got it here. We got it exactly how it is on the PDF, but we can, for example, download it as a CSV. We can download it as an Excel. We can save it and have it uploaded. So if I want to edit, for example, let's say I want to add a new row here and set hello testing. Can go finish my edit and save and upload this. And once I save it, I have it available here. I extracted that from the PDF, and I have it as another document that we can analyze and also apply in calculating these ratios and these scores. So it's a pretty powerful tool in that way. Also, I didn't mention we have the Kpi charts here, where we can visualize the rental expense, the operating income, the debt over time. We can visualize pretty much all of the data that they need to make the decision. and I will show you how we can input this data. This is a form that the loan officer can fill out if he wants to introduce a loan to our system by himself. We have the first, last name, SSN. We also can pull the credit report from an API. So we can enter the street address, city, state, of the information that we require to fill out the loan. And here we can upload the files that are what actually we are using to calculate the scores. Either way, if you don't want to fill out all of this data, you can just click here and fill out just this basic data and upload documents here or after the fact in the document tab that I should show you. So as well, if we go to here, we can go and we can generate reports. We can download all of the approved loans or rejected, as well as any loans that they had from the previous system that we are merging into this platform, that they can be uploaded here. We can just upload an XLS or XLSX file, an Excel file, and get the old loans that they were processing. We can upload them into our own system and manage them from here. So this is pretty much what the bank application can do. This is what a loan officer will look at to make his final decision and approve or reject the loan. I can also go through the flow that the actual applicant would see. I think that will also be.
And while you're pulling that up, Mauricio, so is the goal for the solution ultimately to be white labeled for different clients, or kind of what will that piece of it ultimately look like in terms of what a given bank will see? Is it going to be their logo in the corner?
Yeah. They will get their logo in the corner, as well as any customization that they want to make. Maybe they want to adjust the rates. They want to adjust some credit score, some parameters. Maybe we are thinking about doing some automatic approval or rejection of loans, obviously for small amounts of money. But we can use some parameters. Let's say if a loan is less than $1,000 and it has a rate of 3%, for example, we can say, okay, we want to reject that. The bank could ask us to raise or lower that rate, and yeah, the idea is to have it all customizable to each bank and their set of rules. So I'll go through the flow that the actual user will see. So this is where he can select what type of loan he wants. Let's do just real estate. Let's raise the amount. And we can give it a name. Some name, or just some random tax number. And in here we're using another solution. We are using an API that lets us look up addresses from just keywords. Say I wrote Washington there, but I can write yeah, let's see, Sean, see if anything comes up. Doesn't seem to. Okay, let's try go with Washington. Let's choose this one, for example, and we can automatically fill out the state, the city, and the zip code from this API which we're getting this address from. And we can go next, and we select if we are the main guarantor or not. For now, we have it implemented just with the actual guarantor doing this process. And in here, let's see if I can show you. Let's see if this loads. Doesn't seem to be working. Sadly, I wanted to show you the face match part of the application, but we are having some issues with the licenses with our provider, so we are in touch to fix that. Doesn't seem to be resolved yet, but so what I will do is I will try and bypass this this verification just for demo purposes.
It's a known fact that live demos have to be broken somewhere.
Yeah.
It can't all go smoothly. That'd be weird.
Yeah, they never go well. But
you're a brave man for trying it at all.
No, not at all. So I'm getting my first name and my last name from my account. Up here you see Mauricio Pacheco, and social security number. Let's just a random number. So random income. My date of birth, it's a default date of birth. If we were able to go through that flow, I will be able to pick this up from the ID. Let's just do some random date of birth. And for the physical address, let's just do the same thing. Put a keyword and select an address. Everything gets completed automatically. And the phone.
So Mauricio, just sorry for my density, but you said that information would autofill from the ID. So that's that program you're talking about that scrapes the ID and.
Yeah, whatever information we can get from the ID, we can't always get like address, for example, but date of birth at least will always get filled up, and physical address, if we have it, will also get filled automatically. So with physical address, we automatically fill a state, city, and zip code as well. So basically here, if you went through the other flow, you will only have to fill out the SSN and the individual annual income.
Very
and
cool.
Now if we go, and this primary phone and email address, we also get in from the logged in user. We can go to the next screen. Say, okay. Just test. We can specify our relationship with this bank, my bank. And if we go and to finish, we will go into the e-signing process, or we can see the application in PDF form and sign it. Okay, continue. We can see, okay, this one application was made and blah blah blah. But the idea is that we get all of the legal part of the application, and we can e-sign it, finish the process, and if this goes well, we will end up landing in the same screen that we were before, and we can download the actual application that we just signed, if it goes through, which doesn't seem to be doing.
And then the information that was submitted will fill out in the other tool that you were just showing us a moment ago.
Yeah, we will end up with a loan application in the other platform. Let's see if I can show you that as well.
Very cool.
If this decides to finish. So, as you know, yeah, live demos, they tend to go wrong. Okay, just for the purpose of time, let's go to the other platform and make like that worked. But yeah, the idea is that we have the business name that I enter in the other screen here, the loan amount, as well as the AIN, and all of the information, and we can process that, and it will end up looking something like this. This, this, for example, is a loan, shell loan. If you went to the screen and do fill only basic data, you will end up with a loan looking like this, where you see that we don't have any prediction rate, and we have all set to 0, and we have no data here. But once you go to the documents and upload something, we will recalculate that. So let me see if I can find some loan in which it was processed from the, yeah, this is not it. Let me look through that. Yeah, this one should work. Or not. Let me see if I can find some. Yeah, so this loan was just a simple loan we got from the previous wizard I showed you. It's not as in-depth as if we uploaded a lot of those documents, but we always can go in the document tab and upload more documents to calculate more scores and have extra prediction rate components and more accurate risk and rate and score. So yeah, that's pretty much the capabilities of the application as it is right now. There is a lot going on down behind the scenes to calculate the scores and rates, as well as the charts. So yeah, that's where we are at right now. So if you have any questions, shoot them.
Fantastic. And I know that something that I wanted to mention as well as folks are pondering their questions to wrap things up here. Altimetrik did produce a white paper or two on this particular tool as well. So we'll be sure to include that in the follow-up as well. Sessions being recorded. So if you wanted to recap and check out anything that Mauricio mentioned, we will be sending that out shortly in the follow-up as well. As soon as we have a chance to process that, it'll live on our YouTube page as well. Yeah, so Sabrina, happy to share more information about that. I'm not sure, Mauricio, if that's something you have information about offhand, but Sabrina, we're happy to follow up with that. If not, I thought you asked that question in the general channel. You asked me directly, sorry about that. Otherwise, yeah, curious. We can give folks just another few minutes to think about any questions for the lead front-end developer of this amazing platform that he just demoed. Somebody's got to have a technical question for him.
Yeah, if you have anything on the front end, we're happy to answer that. I'm not too into the back end, so I'm sorry for that. But if it's got to do with React or any libraries that we use or any technologies, happy to answer.
We've got them on the line too, so he should he can pipe in.
Yeah, Gotham, he can answer anything from the business side.
I guess I have a question that's slightly not as technical as probably you wanted, but how are you feeling about being able to create and release solution for this niche market that people were really trying to get into? How does it feel to be part of a product now, like that you get to see and share?
Yeah, I mean, it feels great. I have been working with Altimetrik for 3.5 years. I've been a QA, I have been a developer, and I always work for another company. So doing work for Altimetrik and actually developing a project that we can share with other companies and actually have real people working on and be a part of that, it really feels great knowing that
That's awesome.
Actual people are using that, and I was part of that.
Awesome.
I have a question, if you allow me. When you choose your charts library, what made you choose Plotly? I think you use, no?
Yeah.
For instance, why not D3s or high chart? Can you elaborate that, please?
Yeah. We were using some components of HighChart at first, but we found it kind of difficult to work with that. There was a lot of learning to do, at least from our part, and we didn't need as much customization as D3 allowed us to, as well as we need yes, I think that having like a less customizable chart that was faster to implement was the better solution for us. So we went with Plotly, as we had some experience with that. It's also a library for Python. This is the JavaScript library, but it works almost the same. So we had some experience there, and we decided to use that.
Great, thank you.
Fantastic. Well, with that, again, I just dropped in the chat here. Don't be a stranger. We've got lots of exciting programs and resources available that we're constantly sharing. So please be sure to check us out if you're on Meetup. That's a great place to see upcoming events. We also have our YouTube channel and blog and all that good stuff. Again, this will be posted on YouTube within the next, probably within the next few days, probably early next week. As it'll be on YouTube as well as on our blog. A write-up summary will be coming as well, including the different tools that we mentioned. And yeah, before we break, curious if anybody wants to sneak in a last-minute question here. Otherwise, Mauricio, thank you so much. This is fantastic information. learned a lot about what it takes to build an enterprise app from scratch. Not quite enough to do it myself, I'll admit, but working on it. I'll just need smart folks like yourself to help me do it. And yeah, curious if you have any final thoughts to share before we break, Mauricio.
No, just thank you guys. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope you can take some knowledge and some insight into what it takes to build a platform like this. And thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Have a great night, everybody, or great morning, evening, whatever the case may be. And don't be a stranger. We'll see you soon.